And once again, a huge shout out to all of our financial supporters, our 87.8 survivors. All of them are on the screen there. You too can become a member just by clicking the join button down below. We also are now doing memberships over on Spotify as well, so feel free to become a member that way as well. A big shout out though to our podcast bosses, Cinnamon and Kenny Baker. Thank you guys so much. All of you are legends who help the shows go on each and every week. Thank you all for your support, even just by watching or listening, and we hope you enjoy this week's show. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 138 of the DayZ Podcast. Check. Let's check our audios. How's everyone doing? Archie?
Gravy, baby.
All gravy. And Red Falcon here once again, mate. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's Friday, so that's got to be a good thing.
Excellent. And Lemons, how you doing, buddy?
Still kicking.
You definitely couldn't be missing you this week, mate. As our guest, who I'll announce in a second, said, a lot going on in the console sphere with this latest update. But yeah, that brings us to the one and only Mr. Scalespeeder Gaming. How you doing, buddy?
Very well. Thank you very much for having me on, chaps. It's an honour, definitely.
It's an honour to have you, mate. It's an honour to have you.
The honour is all ours. It's all ours.
Too kind. Far too kind.
A Bwais stream without issues to start it off is weird. Yeah, everything, touch wood. But everything seems to be going okay. Guys, what a week. Mr. Scalespeeder. I have to say, though, I am absolutely loving your Twitter account at the moment. How is our special prize that you won this year?
Yeah, well, thank you very much to Mr. Beast for donating him to me, which is brilliant. Thank you very much for the podcast for running and the competition. Thanks for Pewdie for making it. So, yeah, he's just sitting next to me, keeping an eye on things, making sure we all stay on the straight and narrow. But yeah, it's been an interesting week to say the least.
It has been one hell of an interesting week, but we'll get to that in a sec, mate. What have you... Michael, thank you so much, mate. Buy Scalespeeder a beer on me. He is the GOAT. The man, the myth, the legend is in the chat there, buddy. Michael with the big donation there. He's got a big heart, that guy. I still can't believe he gave you that figurine, mate. Yeah, it was probably one of the most hyped things I've ever seen given away in the DayZ community. He wins it, and he just pays it forward and gives it to you.
Absolutely. And the thing that doesn't really come across, I don't think, in any videos or even the stills that you see is the amazing amount of detail on it. Honestly, I understand why the lad was so obsessed with it. Because when you see it in the flesh, honestly, it's amazing. The little bits of dirt on his trousers and bits of blood and his axe with looks like it's not a pristine axe. It's probably a worn axe, I think. And the nails in the helmet. It is the level. I mean, if you'd asked me before I'd seen it, whether I thought having figurines was befitting of someone of my age, I'd have said no way. But after seeing this, I'm thinking what other ones I can get. It's so cool.
I think I said, I don't know whether I said it on the show or just in chatting with people, but of all the people in the community who got it, I think I am happiest that you have got it because you are just having so much fun with this figurine, mate. The pictures you've been putting up on Twitter are absolutely gold. I'll see if I can find them, but yeah. It's absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to have around. You just have an idea and think, let's see what the King in Yellow thinks about this. And of course, really, the thing to remember though, he's 100% console all the way, as you might have seen from one of my shorts videos. But yeah, he has no doesn't like PC DayZ at all. He can't stand having hackers and things like that on. He just wants to play on his Xbox and his PlayStation, and he's more than happy doing that.
I think my favourite one so far has been the you're having trouble weaning him off of that disgusting Scottish drink. I think you called it in your Twitter.
Oh yeah. He misses the Iron Brew, and he does miss the lad quite a lot. I think they definitely had quite an intimate relationship. I think those two, but he doesn't like talking about it. He gets a bit nervous sometimes when I bring up the subject. But anyway, he's safe now. He's with me, and yeah, he's enjoying life to the full.
There we go. I've just got it up now. See, even just posts like this. Yeah, getting ready for the podcast. He's got his start. Oh my god, you're bagging out Iron Brew, yet you drink Starbucks coffee. Ugh.
Oh.
Ugh. That said, I haven't tried their iced coffee, but it just doesn't interest me at all. But yeah, you've had so much fun with this Yellow King. There's another one, February 13. The DayZ King in Yellow is about to plan his next move. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, mate. But no, you're right about the level of attention, the detail that he put into those figurines, mate. They're just absolutely insane. Like I did a tweet from the 87.8 account talking about they released those 3D models of the King in Yellow and that, and people were doing that, and it made me smile. Like, it's great that people are getting to create things like that, but compared to what Pediwedi makes, they're just not on the same level, are they, Red Falcon?
No. I think with people that create some of that stuff, it breaks down into people kind of do best effort, but try to get it out quick, and then something like that with the level of detail that Scalespeeder was talking about just sounds fantastic.
Yep. Absolutely insane. So what else have you got going on lately, Scalespeeder?
Well, I mean, I work full time, but YouTube-wise, this week was all about the update on Tuesday. But you know me, I like to do lots of other sort of types of content as well. So I've been playing the new Harry Potter game, which has been absolutely amazing. And the new Operation Harsh Doorstep as well. Harsh Doorstop, which came out a couple of days ago, which is
I saw something about that, and it looks intriguing, but I'm just at that age, and with so much on in life, I don't have time for a lot of other games. DayZ is so time intensive. The show is so time intensive. I still dabble in my World of Warships, and is it worth investing time into that, or even Hogwarts Legacy?
Well, I mean, Hogwarts Legacy. I mean, I was never a big fan of Harry Potter when the books came out and the films. I mean, I read the books to my son, and we watched the films together, and it was all right. But I always felt it was no Lord of the Rings. It was all a bit silly. I quite like the later films when it got a bit darker in the later books. But honestly, this game, Hogwarts Legacy, is probably going to be, I think, one of the definitely in the top 10 single player games of all time. Playing it, I think at the moment I'm probably about a third of the way through. I think it's probably on a par with something like Ocarina of Time, like that sort of level of game. It really is. It is absolutely amazing. And if you have a slight interest in Harry Potter, or if you're a real big Harry Potter fan, you'll play this game and you won't believe what they've managed to do with it. It is absolutely stunning. It really is. I can't recommend it enough. It is superb. It is really, really, really good.
I've just got to do a quick update. I realised in my scatterbrain, I literally woke up about 40 minutes before the show. Lad is taking a break for a while. He did a post in the community Discord. He's just got a lot going on in his life at the moment, so he wants to just try to minimise the amount of shit he's got going on, and the podcast is an easy one for him, just to take a few weeks or a few months, however long he needs, just to get everything sorted, and then we'll be seeing him coming back. But yeah, he's just taking a break for a while, that's all. But yeah, Archie, you love those wizarding games, mate.
Honestly, I've been watching a lot of live streams of it. because I like you, I don't have a lot of time. I think it just kind of comes with age too. I don't want to invest in a video game because I'm so spoiled by DayZ, but it looks good, man. Ray's told me if you like Skyrim, you'll like it. And then I started watching, like I said, all the live streams, and I went and re-downloaded Skyrim on my Xbox because I wanted to. It put me in the mindset to play that game again. It does. I mean, it is pretty epic, man, and the cinematics look amazing. It's and it's not. You would think it's for like kids or something because Harry Potter was always sort of geared towards kids when I was a kid. I read them when I was a kid, but it's not. There's a lot of. It's just give it a shot if you haven't yet.
See, there's a comment in chat there, Red Falcon, that interested me. You get the Skyrim Bully, which is a game that was quite underrated for those who remember it.
Oh yeah, Bully was great.
Bully
yeah.
was an
Yeah, I don't
amazing.
remember that one.
You don't know that one either?
No, I don't.
Was that Rockstar as well, Archie?
Yeah.
One of it's basically you're a bully in school, and the whole game takes part, and you do little quests and that through the game. But yeah, Bully was quite groundbreaking for its time as well. The topic upset a lot of people, but it had a good vibe. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 vibes. Would you agree with that one, there, Scalespeeder?
I've never played Bully.
No,
I've heard good
Red
things
Dead.
about it. Oh, I never played Red Dead either.
Oh, good
looks
lord.
really good.
Get him
Like-
out of here.
Yeah. No, well, I missed a whole section of gaming because I kind of finished gaming with about halfway through the PS2, and then I didn't come back to it after my son gave me his Xbox 360 in about 2015, something
Yep.
like that. So there was this whole chunk of late PS2, all of sort of PS3, and really all of the Xbox 360 titles I never bothered with because when I came back to gaming, all I was interested in was Call of Duty. That's all I wanted to play because I'd just seen my son playing it, and I was like, oh my god, this is the game I've always wanted to play. And finally had some time to do so because the kids were growing up.
See, I don't understand how you manage to fit everything you do in Scalespeeder. You look at your YouTube channel, and you are one of the most prolific uploaders of content that I know. But it's not so much like there's people who upload more, but it's the sheer variety of things that you're uploading about. You're doing reviews of games, reviews of sausage rolls, fucking talking about coding and all. How do you fit all of this in? You've got a family. We're not going to talk too much about family, but you've got a job, you've got a family, you've got a YouTube channel. How do you manage to fit all this into your day? Do you like have some sort of time turning device?
That's very kind of you to say. No, so basically, it comes down to my videos are really low production quality, really low. I don't do hardly any editing, if at all. So the actual time it takes to record the video is just the length of the video, really. They're just really screen recordings, most of my videos. And I don't really do any scripts. Some of them I do scripts for, but I might make a few notes, but that's about it. So really, everything is based off lists. So I just have a big to-do list for lots of different games. And when I come up with an idea in the shower in the morning or listening to the podcast or something like that, I just write that down. And as soon as I get a spare 5 minutes, it's just hit record on the screencast recorder. I just use GeForce now. GeForce Experience. Bang, record for 5 minutes. Well, did it record okay? Yeah, bang, upload it. And I have my super simple thumbnails that honestly, there's no design behind them. It's just I've just always done them that way. So it's all about fast. I come from an era of content creation. First off with websites that was all about search and feeding the search engine, and that's why most of my videos are all about answering questions. Why, who, or all this sort of stuff. So.
His YouTube channel that I'm sharing now, Archie, it goes back to when we were talking about thumbnails and branding. And yeah, you don't need to go all in. Like you recognize a Scalespeeder upload when it's in your feed, don't you, Archie?
Yeah, Scalespeeder is the kind of content creator that YouTube likes because, like he said, it's it's low. I don't want to say low effort, high reward. It's low. You're not overdoing it, and so he has time to put out more content, like you just said, right? So he and Marks does the same thing. They'll talk over footage, but he gets to the point. There's been a lot of times I'll watch a guide on something and I'll put it on two times speed or something like that because the people are just so like loquacious. But he gets right to the point. His branding is perfect, and I actually just looked up a video of his the other day on how to use the alarm clocks because I'm a millennial and we didn't have those analog alarm clocks. So I typed in how to use alarm clock. I literally just Googled how to use alarm clocks, not DayZ or anything, and his video popped up on the DayZ alarm clock. So I was doing it right the whole time. You just have to turn it on before you set the alarm. That's what I had wrong.
Your channel, it's great in that it's like a lesson in... and you guys just sort of got to start hitting me whenever I say because I listened to back to myself in a video the other day, and oh my God, I say that far too much.
Nobody notices, man. I'm the same way with but no one notices until you say something. It's like when you're giving a speech and your hands are shaking, no one can see your hands shaking,
But yeah, just the sheer volume of the wide range of the views on your videos, Scalespeeder. Like if we look at Hell Let Loose, 776 views, 938 views, and then bam, there's a video there with 12,000, another one with 8.3 thousand. PUBG is the same, even 2 months ago, you got a 4.2 thousand view. Then you've got ones which only have 297 views. So it's insane the variety that you have in the range, in the amount of views you get for each video.
Yeah, so the idea behind this is, and if you go to the bottom of my channel on the homepage, there's like a bit that says starting your own YouTube channel. And whenever I kind of always explain the ideas of what I do. And there's one called HVLP. So the idea is it's high volume, low production value videos, because search engines love answering questions. But unfortunately, although lots of questions are valid, that it's not worth putting a load of effort into answering some of them. So it's like Archie says about the alarm clock one. It's not worth spending 2 days making a video about how to use alarm clocks. As long as you know how to do it, and then you can record that and then put it out quickly, and then put a long title in and put stuff in the description so that it will get searched. Not just really by YouTube, but by Google as well. And most of my views come from search. They come from Google or YouTube. They're not from the browse, like lots of other people. And what you're always thinking about is you're thinking, this game, say for example, like DayZ's been around almost 10 years now, isn't it? So if someone started making videos about DayZ 10 years ago, those videos that they were making back then, people would still be watching now. So although they might only be getting a couple of thousand videos a year, over that 10-year period, all of a sudden, if you've got 100 videos about that, that's going to make you some cash. And for example, with Hogwarts Legacy at the moment, we're going to be playing Hogwarts Legacy for the next 10, probably 15 years. That game's going to have a life cycle of, it will go through this console generation, then it will have a remaster. And so any videos that people make now about it, people are going to be searching for a long, long time. So these videos are going to have long, long tails. And I think sometimes people get caught up in the idea of that you have to have really high production value. You need to have a script. You need to have an amazing thumbnail. You need to tell this amazing story, and kind of forget that lots of the time when people are coming to YouTube and coming to Google or Bing, or when they're going to be asking AI about it in the future or whatever, or you can now, it's going to be this often, or the easiest way to get started is by answering questions. And we all know solutions to questions, and it's a very, very easy way to get started with YouTube.
Your console videos do quite well on your channel, though, mate. You've definitely got a bit of a niche there now that Don has stopped making so much content.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of when my channel kind of started to accelerate a little bit more. When DayZ came out, it came out on Xbox in about, I think it was 2019, I'm going to say. No, 18 it came out, didn't it, on Xbox?
That's what I was thinking, and I don't 18.
Yeah, I don't think I bought. In fact, I played it like a couple of times using the hour free preview that you used to get. And I've actually got a video on my channel about how DayZ is the worst game ever made, because I hated it to start off with. Absolutely hated it. Couldn't stand it. But I was still kind of. There was something about it because I played a lot of PUBG, and I felt that I thought, well, these games look the same. Well, if I really enjoy PUBG, I should really enjoy DayZ because they look like they're from the same world. Obviously, then they almost were, weren't they? But obviously they weren't. And then it came out on PS4, and then we got community servers. And then initially on console for community servers with Nitrado, the only thing you could do was change the rate at which time travelled. So it meant that you could have shorter nights or longer days, which was really cool, but that was it. You couldn't do anything else. But when it really changed was when we got access to the mission files. And me and the likes of Don and a few others, you would go on the net and you would search for how to edit types.xml, how to increase your loot. And there was really very little that out there. There was stuff from back in 2014, sort of pre-.63 stuff that didn't work anymore, that was completely out of date. And a lot of the information was kind of locked into Discords. And there was a feeling, it's not as bad as it used to be, but when console modders, XML modders would go and ask in PC forums, there was a lot of, well, if you don't know, you're not good enough sort of attitude that would come back from people.
Oh, yeah.
Gatekeepers.
It was pretty rough. So we started to kind of learn from ourselves. And Don was, I'll always say Don was the trailblazer, You look at Don's DayZ videos where he would do these hour streams where he would be diving into the files and seeing how to do this and bringing up things other people would do. And that really triggered it off, I know, for me as well, of just doing how to do stuff. And then my tutorials on my other, so I've got a photography channel as well, a tech channel that I don't really do anymore. But it's always been about trying to explain things to beginners. I always think there's no stupid questions, and if you can start off really, really basic, that will help the most number of people. So that's what I try and do with my tutorials. The fact that I try and take even the most basic concepts and explain them in the way that hopefully people can understand and find useful, and I then apply that to anything that I come across that I can understand myself in with the DayZ stuff, and obviously other games as well. And because of because Behem Interactive and the DayZ devs aren't very good at releasing documentation about the way that things work, that leaves this massive gap in the market between PC modders who weren't really talking about what they were doing and explaining it when they could have been. And me, I've pushed for so long. When we say how can modders get paid, it's like, well, make videos about what you do, and you can get paid that way. And on the other hand, you've got Behem Interactive not filling in their own wiki about how any of this stuff works. And in the middle, you've got 10,000 server owners on community console servers who want that information.
That's kind of a good segue into talking about the 1.2 patch. We'll go over to you, Lemons. Did you watch the dev stream, mate, where they talked about how they weren't really aware of what the console community were doing with the JSON files?
Yeah, it was interesting to hear that because I think it almost sounded like they kind of went back on themselves, because when they had originally released the JSON files, and then of course when they released the scaling, a lot of the marketing and advertising around it looked like it was like the purpose of how we were using it. So I'm not sure if there was maybe a disconnect from the actual development team to the people who were doing the promotional marketing content, but they were marketing it off like it was meant for that kind of stuff. So it was interesting to see that, of course, they turned around and said that it wasn't meant to do that. And then as a follow-up question, what did they actually intend for us to use it for,
It was weird. That was a weird one for me. They give you access to them and then they're surprised that you're using them. It's like, okay.
Or in the way that we are,
So explain for us what was the issue there for the dummies like myself who aren't into the modding of all these JSON files and all the rest of it. What was the issue? Could you explain that for us, Lemons?
So the way JSON works is it's a way for us to kind of place custom objects on console, so we can specify coordinates and locations. And it's kind of like how on PC you guys have the init.c, where you can spawn buildings and all that kind of stuff. What's it called? It's how they do it on. What's the one map that Mike Doherty worked on Livonia? What was that called? And you know,
The Karma Crew
Nope,
servers?
Don't know.
Karma Crew, thank you. So kind of similar to what he did at Karma Crew, but it's like a different file format. So we can take all that information, like where we want the custom buildings or custom items or anything like that, because we can pretty much place anything that has a class name in the files in. So that could be a weapon, it could be a building, it could be any sort of object, or even like an NPC. So we can take those, and then when the server loads up, it'll put it in. But the biggest issue right now with the new update is that we were having persistence issues, where now every server restart, they start to stack on each other. So you could have 20 walls inside of each other, which, I don't know about you, that could be a pretty big performance issue. Because some servers, you know, like even the Zagori mod I was working on console had well over 200,000 objects. So you got to imagine every server restart, that's being doubled.
Oof. Yeah, server's gonna hit the floor real quick.
Yeah.
Because I saw a comment in the live chat, Archie, and I kind of feel for him, but a server owner basically saying, this is 7 days that my server's been down, that I'm paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, don't run a modded server, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it sucks. It is what it is, but I don't think they meant for the JSONs to be stacked. Maybe that's why they didn't know that it was going on. I know you got to kind of find a loophole where you can when you have a modded server and such. But I also want to say that you should drop to your knees and thank the DayZ gods, Scalespeeder, that Don Sibley discovered making fun of flat earthers on TikTok, because he opened up a huge gap for you that you filled in.
I tell you what, I message him every couple of months and I say, Don, come back. Come back. We need you back making those videos. I need you back making those videos. Because I use his videos as references. Often I think, well, how do we do this? And I'll go back and watch his videos, because he goes through everything line by line, and he's really, really good at that. So it's a crying shame that he's not doing stuff for DayZ, but maybe he will come back one day. I don't know.
I mean, he made that one like kind of brief comeback, and then fell back on his back after.
I think everyone was kind of like, oh my God, Don's back, and then he got the Fortnite bug again, and he's over there doing his little floss dances and all the rest of it. And
well, you know, I think the biggest issue was too, is that a lot of people were kind of giving him a bit of hate, and in the first few streams he was doing, he was kind of readjusting and having to learn things again. Because of course, you know, if you haven't had your hands in the honeypot for a year, like if not longer, depending on how long, I'm not sure how long he's been out now for, but if you've been out for that long, you know, you have to readjust that kind of stuff. And everyone was just giving him so much like flack, saying like, oh, why don't you know this? You've done this stuff before, you know, and a lot of that kind of stuff. So I could see there where that could maybe hurt a bit. And that could have been why he ended up going back to Fortnite. But nonetheless, I think a lot of the people in the console community definitely missed him, because he brought a lot of interesting ideas and concepts to the community. And a lot of the pioneers now wouldn't be where they are without his videos. So
I have to say this. Did anyone else notice the similarity between Don Sibley and this guy?
Oh, I remember when you said that.
Was it just me? Was I the only one who thought that this guy looked a lot like bloody Don Sibley?
I kind of see it, yeah. Yeah. Well, he looks more like Trevor from GTA, bro.
But yeah, no, God bless Don. But yeah, it's the 1.2. Like, I jumped on and I played my favorite server, and I was like, okay, everything seems to be working okay. What's all the hullabaloo about? But when I watched the live stream back, because it was in the middle of the night here in Australia, so I didn't get to see it live. Chat was extra nasty on them. They were really going hard at them. And like even Michael, one of the nicest guys out there, in chat there, is saying, as a business owner, I think the devs dropped the ball and apologies not enough. Falcon, what's your take on it?
Well, if you remember, I think last week I predicted that this was likely going to be what happened. It's one thing when they're including a lot of new content or new, items and weapons or buildings or things like that. It's another thing when they're making a bunch of functional changes or quote-unquote fixes under the covers. And those fixes is exactly caused all kinds of mayhem kind of across the board. I know I had challenges with helicopters that turns out, after I spent most of the week chasing it down, thinking, what have I done wrong? It's actually in the compiled code. because it affects some vanilla vehicles as well, where they get out while the engine's running and it yeets them out into the nowheres. So there's a ticket on that. There's a bunch of other things I ran into between the mods that I run, and also just digging through the tickets that Bohemia has in their feedback tracker. And it all ties back to internal changes that were made that were attempts to fix things that didn't quite get there, or caused issues in other areas. So
that's just programming, though, right? I mean,
Yeah, but they're
it's just programming. The problem is, I think, the QA process.
Yeah,
is challenging for
lack
that.
thereof.
Well, I'm sure that they're testing in a vacuum, so they're just testing amongst themselves. They do throw out, the code in experimental for people to test, but I don't know how many people go through rigorous testing of experimental.
Yeah, this experimental did not get a lot of love whatsoever. All the servers were dead. Like, no one was given, like, that's the thing, is people only want to play experimental to try out new content. And then there's, a dozen people that are doing what you're saying and going through and looking at the code and such.
But, and even then, they don't lock down their code base like a week before. So there can be changes between the last experimental release and the stable release.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely happened.
Yeah.
Definitely happened, because the other reasons why console players were a bit miffed is, to say the least, is that they changed the control scheme for the way that we combine or craft items. They changed the button from just a press to a hold, which wasn't a big thing in and of itself, because people would have worked that out. But they also broke it so that you had to come out, you had to change. There's two control schemes on console, basically, two sort of sets of controls, and they broke it so you had to come out of it and then go back into it again for lots of players. So that was a big problem.
That was one of the most British things I've ever heard. I watched a video a while back where they were talking about how the British generally underplay things, and yes, one of the reasons why console players were a bit miffed.
Yeah, but it wasn't just that as well, because in the CFG gameplay.json, they added a lot to the stamina stuff, but the problem was it didn't fail gracefully. So what that meant is, if anybody, and this isn't just console, if anybody was running a 119 server, and when the 120 went live on their server was updated, if they were still running a 119 CFG gameplay, all of a sudden the players couldn't sprint anymore. If they'd edited it, so that was a big problem. So you had server owners go, whoa, what's changed? Because normally when you get an update, it doesn't change that bad. And the other thing they did in the CFG gameplay, which didn't happen, I think, until the gap between the last experimental update and the public release, was they changed the way that they refer to the triggers, the ons and offs. So they went from using zeros and ones to trues and falses, and that broke a load of stuff as well. So it was like this perfect storm of all these things coming together, which we could have probably put up with other console players and PC people as well could have probably put up with. But on top of the fact that you had this JSON error, where we've been using JSONs like this for a long time to spawn loot in that's doubling up, and it wasn't doubling up houses or structures, it was just loot. So they've obviously changed something to do with that. Obviously people were like, whoa, our servers aren't working anymore, and crashing and blue screening consoles as well. Mm-hmm. So there was lots of things that kind of went wrong on this one that I think they could have communicated a little bit better.
So there's no way to test an experimental server on Xbox? Like, you can't make your own server on Xbox?
You can play on it.
Deploy any dedicated servers, no.
So that's how they missed that, because no one was trying to. Okay, that makes sense.
Well,
my question is though. My question is, Bohemia has a dedicated QA team, and they are on PC and console. So it always baffles me how some of the most clear issues are right in front of you, where you start playing the game and it's one of the first things you see, how that misses them, and that initial kind of quality control. Because some of the issues we have on console are blatant, they are it's something that directly affects gameplay. There's no way you could miss it, So it really it's quite a shocker to see stuff like that, come through.
You haven't been able to arm plastic explosives or IEDs for 3 patches now. You have to try the arm. You have to do the arm prompt 20 times before it actually registers as armed. And I've reported that. It's still doing it. I just tried it again the day of 1.2.0 coming out, and it's still broken.
Yeah,
We do it in offline mode, but not on any actual servers.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see is give console owners, community server owners, the option to install experimental console servers. That would be good, because I mean, I feel a little bit responsible as well, because as soon as experimental gets updated to 120, I download the experimental server and I jump in and I run around and I check out the new things. But I never bothered to check whether XMLs were working, JSONs were working properly or anything like that. But I think maybe if we had the option to create community online experimental servers for Xbox and PlayStation, maybe I would have done that a little bit. So maybe, through that Bohemian Interactive, the DayZ devs, they can expand their QA team a little bit more. Because I was playing the Xbox experimental servers and I was loving it. It was smoother in the built-up areas. Everything seemed really, really nice. And I was really excited for 120. And I was like, oh yeah, this is really, really good. Until things started going wrong.
Well, Lemons, you said before that your Zagoria map is running smoother.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't checked after 1.20, so that would definitely be something I have to follow up on. But
okay, so that was
I noticed
that was 1.19, not 120. Okay,
that was pre 1. Yeah. But it's because one of the biggest things too is, for those who know, like the server side of DayZ on PC and console, there's stuff in the server DayZ.cfg file where you can change stuff like how far objects are rendered or how far the train is rendered and stuff like that. And on console, it is a little lower than the default on PC, because I'm pretty sure the default on PC is somewhere in the 2000 range, like in meters. But on the console version, it's only 1370. So it's definitely a bit lower, and that could play into why there were performance increases. But
okay, what else?
One thing I'd like to comment on. Mr. White in the chat just said, has anyone else seen themselves in game like a clone of themselves? And me and Scalespeeder were literally just talking about this before the stream started. And that actually plays into the persistence bug, where if you log out at certain points, it's very hard to reproduce the bug. But if you log out and something like a save happens, whether it be from a server reset or a server shutdown or something like that, you can log in and there can be a clone of your player in the same game space as you.
What, so you could kill that player and get all that gear off them as well?
I'm not sure how far it goes. As far as I'm aware, it's only a stripped down version of the character, so there's no loot or any gear on it.
Okay.
It's very Lovecraftian. It's like the movie Annihilation, at the end when the clone's mirroring her. So basically, I mean, we have a platform here, right? The devs listen. They're probably listening right now. So the issue is that there's no way that they can test experimental on console.
No, there is.
I mean, we have right. There was no way to detect that the JSON file problem existed because you couldn't put your own private experimental server.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can't do it at all for Sony because they refuse to do experimentals and alphas and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
So then the way that they're testing it, they're basically testing only in a pure vanilla mode.
Right.
And even then, they're just throwing it out there for people to try. And then if you're taking that approach, you really have to get diligent about listening to feedback and getting good data about what's going on.
Or give players a reason to even try the experimental.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to say as well that this isn't just a console thing, the JSON duping. It's PC, it happens on PC as well. And so I could recreate that on my local server, the duping, to do it like that. But if there were Xbox experimental servers that we could put up on Nitrado, for example, then we'd be more likely to be running on those all of the time. I know personally, if I had the option to run an Xbox experimental version of DayZ, I would probably spend most of my time on it. Because as soon as there would be an update, I would be like, oh, right, let's make some content about this. And I would be checking things and doing them all the time. Because I think the big problem was that the devs just weren't aware that console community modders use this technique so much. It was such a bedrock of what we do with a lot of our community servers.
What else
Okay,
on the
so,
1.2 update has been of interest, folks?
Question. So is it that Nitrado limits the ability to run custom experimental servers, or is it something to do with Bohemia?
It's
It's kind
probably
of
just
somewhere
something.
between both.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the line's kind of faded because I've had a chance to speak with some of those people at Nitrado about this kind of stuff, and they've told me like blatantly that sometimes it's them and it's their choice to do it. Other times it's Bohemia saying they just don't want players to be able to do that kind of stuff. And then other times it's actually like the developer, the publisher, so like Microsoft, twisting their wrist and saying no, you can't do that. So it's very interesting, and it's one of the biggest reasons why we don't have a lot of access to some of the more kind of beefier files would allow us to do a bit more in regards to our kind of freedom, I guess, on console.
Right.
And I mean, of course, modding too, like.
Okay.
But,
so I understand now how they missed it. It makes more sense.
Right.
yeah.
And as somebody who does software development professionally for many years, that kind of thing where the end users use some of the features in ways that you never thought of as a developer, that is extremely common. So that's a gap that you really, the only way you can close it is to have your devs go and sit with users or interact with them to see, let's see how your server's set up. Oh wow, I never would have thought of doing it that way, but I guess we did allow that. So I think that's a gap that's missing there too.
Now, circling back, it makes you question, should we then have access to be able to launch our own experimental servers? Because if we were able to do that, this issue probably would have been fixed before it went to stable.
That's what I was saying
So-
the whole time. It seems like that's what's limiting people from discovering this, because I'm telling you, sure, they have a QA team. It's probably not that big. We are talking about Bohemia. And most of the time, they find the bugs and errors through, the players testing it and discovering it. But there was really no incentive to go on and test the servers, because people only want to go test the new, content that's put in. And all they really had were the masks, right? And so I think that this whole update was just kind of scuffed from the jump as far as that goes, because there was no real incentive to play it. There was no content to experiment with, and a lot of the bugs that were persistent before are still there. Like, I'm still getting kicked every time I die on PC and respawn. I get kicked and have to wait in the queue again.
Yeah. And one other big, kind of pet peeve I had with this update is I'm all for like little surprise features they put in that they're like, oh, like they don't actually announce it, like or put on the change log or the notes or anything like that. But when it's big things that cause huge gameplay issues, or even like just gameplay changes in general, like how Scalespeeder was saying with the merging and splitting objects with like a B, or like having to hold it, that wasn't included in our patch notes. There's a lot of things that just go under the radar. Even it was more of a trivial thing, but the AC-130 model on PC and console got changed so that you can't access the cockpit anymore.
Oh no.
Or they just put a collider.
It's got
on
like
Yeah.
it's got like seats blocking it.
Right.
Yeah. They got like a bunch of seats and like just like rubble and stuff like that. But
I completely agree with you on the change notes. There are definitely things that happen that get released that aren't even referenced in the change notes, and also just the content of the notes from a player perspective, it may be sufficient, but definitely from a modder or somebody who's in the guts of the game all the time, I really want to know when things are changed. Or, for example, fishing has been broken forever. You could fish right from the shore, but as soon as you got about 5 meters offshore, you wouldn't get the prompt anymore. And so when I introduced boats, my boats, you want to be able to fish from the boat, so I started looking into it, and sure enough, found a bug. I fixed it and had it within my boat mod, but I put in a ticket with Bohemia. They fixed it, but they broke other parts about it. But that was not listed in the change notes at all. And for me, it was a pretty significant coding change.
They've always
those
done
kind
that.
of things. Yeah, those kind of things. I don't know why they can't either be more detailed and thorough about that, and or release a specific. This is for modders or people that are really going to mess with the game. And this is again more for PC, but and really just give a detailed level about things.
So basically have like 2 patch notes. one which goes into the autistic detail for those who need it, and one for the casuals like myself with pretty shiny things and nice buttons I can push that won't break the game. I think that I think
Exactly.
there's a potential for that, because it's been even way back, Archie. We've been talking about communication with updates is key, because there's a lot of these people, a lot of the modders, with the monetization thing, a lot of them are just doing it as a hobby because it's so hard to make money from it. Server owners, not all server owners are doing it to make money either. They're doing it out of love. And when they're having to literally take 2-3 days leave, the day before, the day after an update is planned, and then they get something like this, it really does throw them. And to his credit, Scotty did mention it in the stream that they understand that this has an impact on people. The issues with the launcher that are out there where servers just aren't showing and all the rest of it. But it's a pretty big deal. Like, some people could say it's just pixels, Archie, but it's a bit more than that.
No, I mean it's our hobby, right? Like I say all the time, if your hobby is model train sets and you spend 2,000 hours in your garage building a model train set, and then someone comes in and just flips the whole thing over, they just wasted your time. So I don't know. I think it goes back to what we talked about either last week or the week before, with maybe if they had someone who was speaking to the modding and server owner community specifically, maybe through the DayZ forum, I think was what we spoke about the last time this was brought up. But
Right.
I think modders definitely, I think this update was a fluke with a lot of because of the limited access to experimental servers on console. But like what Red Falcon was saying about how they didn't accurately update the patch notes, they've always done that, man. I remember getting on and you kind of had to dig like Wobo does now, and you would find new things, like when they added the running shoes and stuff like that they didn't, or the new clothes that they would just kind of shoehorn in there without telling anybody. And that's just material things. That's not even like changes to the code. But I will say they are hiring new programmers as far as I know, and they are always looking to expand the team. I mean, they know DayZ's their cash cow. Nobody's, spending this much time and effort on Vigor or Ylands or anything like that. So, and I will also say that people that were in the chat, I know I'm kind of obsequious to the devs. I've got friends that are devs, but I criticize the game and the development when it comes, when the time is right and when it's needed. But those people were lambasting two of the marketing guys. Matei and Scotty are marketing guys. They're not programmers. They're not modeling things. They're not mappers. They're literally just the marketing guys. They came on there to say, hey, we realize what's wrong and we're trying to get it fixed. They're just the spokesman, So, I mean, you can be a critical consumer, because you're the customer and it's, you're reviewing the product. But I think people just, the fact that they're still updating this game, period, is a blessing.
After it's 9 years now.
It's 10 years old, yeah. And the code in DayZ, anybody that's ever looked at it, so many people have touched that code. And so many people have made changes and came and gone from Bohemia. That's why we call it the spaghetti code, as a joke. But it's seriously so different. Like, I'm in school right now for video game design, and I look at DayZ because that's how I learned, coding was the modding through DayZ, and nothing looks like that. DayZ's code is it's literally like if 200 mechanics worked on a car, and then you lift the hood up and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? That's what it reminds me of. But that's why I'm more patient with them, I guess, and forgiving when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to quickly start off and thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs there. But yeah, it's 100%. Lemons, I'll come back to you, but I'm glad you talked about the fact that they didn't have to go out there, Archie. The two marketing guys, Scotty and it says a lot about them that they did. They came on camera and basically said, we fucked up, guys. We know, we're aware, we're listening to you. They gave a short address of it. And yeah, they, one sec. That should have muted it now. The notification sound, a bit loud, sorry. But yeah, it's, to their credit, they did come out there. Now, you were going to say, Lemons?
Oh, I was just saying that, building off what Archie was saying, with the whole thing about the spaghetti code and stuff. with these new programmers that are coming in, they haven't worked with the older people that are at Bohemia. They haven't worked with the likes of like Dean Hall or like his old development team or Brian Hicks. So they don't know or understand like the workflow they had previously. So I think a big issue too, or like a big hurdle or like learning curve, is trying to understand like how they set up the game, originally, and or like their code and stuff like that, and trying to get in that kind of mind space, because to a lot of them, like Archie was saying, it could be 200 mechanics working on a single car. You go in there, you're like, what the fuck is this? Like.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And everybody leaves their little signatures on there. It's just, I think it's not going to happen most likely, but it would be so relieving to them to just have a fresh start on a new engine with, like, I know we always say DayZ 2, and games really don't do that anymore. But man, the amount of things that could be avoided in the future if they just had a clean slate, with the team they have now, and not all the different, chefs that have, added their ingredients.
That pattern is everywhere, though. Anybody who's done any platform development, you may make a mistake or make a poor choice, but it's a functional choice early on, and you're just going to be dragging that along as technical debt forever.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Yeah,
so
that's why
that's.
I do want to quickly address what Bingy Grupp has said in chat there. They've the DayZ response to all this crap, every update is laughable. They put two people on the screen who wouldn't be able to answer any of the customers' questions. Now, for it's one of those weird quirks, but your people who are in the behind the scenes coding sort of stuff, a lot of them just aren't good on camera or stuff like that. That's not their forte.
Right.
Their forte is
that's why they're coders.
I get the anger, but there's another thing with DayZ, and it sort of touches on, I've got that short where I talk about, the DayZ concurrent players number is on the rise, but I asked the question, why isn't DayZ, it still hasn't even reached the peak amount of players that Scum had when it was launched, because DayZ has a lot of baggage. And there's almost, we've joked about this before, Archie, but anyone who starts as a dev with DayZ, it's almost like once you sign that contract, you get PTSD from the 2015 roadmap. You get PTSD from weeks, not months. They are one of the most criticized dev teams out there, rightly so in some aspects. But yeah, now could someone explain? Probably you, Red. He says that, but there is more broken things each and every update than they have fixed. Could you go into that in a bit of detail, mate? Why that happens? It sort of ties into spaghetti code, doesn't it?
It does. And when you have a code base like that that has some convolution in it, it really takes experienced developers to be able to go in and assess the landscape and then understand, okay, now we're going to try to insert some new piece, or we're going to try to correct something and not upset the apple cart in 10 other spots. So that's a tough trick to pull off to begin with. And then, you get, like Archie mentioned, where people want to put their own kind of signature on it, or I do things this way or that way. And it just makes it more complex. But to speak to that question in general, what I'd like to hear from Bohemia, not necessarily the dev team, is not so much, okay, we realize that more things are broken in this update than have been in the past, and we're working to fix it. Great. I would fully expect that. I don't need to be told that. What I want to understand is how are they looking at improving their release and testing process?
Yes.
And how can they?
Good question.
Do we want to get, like, right now, the connection between server owners that are, and I'm speaking mainly to PC because obviously there's challenges on the console side, but server owners that are going to run an experimental version where you make a copy of your server and then upgrade it to the experimental and do full battery of tests. There is a big disconnect between the people that are willing to do that, and not just for the new content, but for there's a new release coming out, I need to test it, and getting all of that feedback in an organized way back to the dev team. And so creating some kind of program where you've got like partner server owners or something of that nature, where there's an expectation that, okay, we're going to release something, we want you to test it out, and here's the format that we want the feedback, and here's the, there's an expectation you're going to be very diligent to test out the way it's being used in the wild. And that method is used in other places for other large software platforms. So that's what the feedback I like to see from them is how they're going to improve their process to make sure that this gets minimized, this kind of impact.
And as Vinci Grub says there in chat, they released yet another update that did not fully test out on all platforms, i.e. PlayStation. PlayStation has its own specific nuances, though, doesn't it, Lemons and Scalespeeder?
Oh, 100%.
It's even more restrictive than Xbox.
Can agree on this, but just like,
how would they even test on PlayStation?
They couldn't because it's all Sony.
Yeah.
You know, Sony's gatekeeping the entire thing because they've had their own issues with hackers and stuff like that, and data breaches and stuff, and they just don't want to budge.
Again, that's someone assigning blame to the blameless. That's not the devs' fault that Sony doesn't offer an experimental or an alpha. You know what I mean?
But everyone still blames them, though. You know, and that's the worst part about it. Everyone still blames Bohemian because of that. You know.
Yeah, people say I'm being sycophantic. I'm not. I'm just saying you have to play devil's advocate here. Most of the team came from the community. Most of the team not most, but a lot of the team that works on Bohemia came from playing the game. They were modders, they were mappers, they were members of the community. So it's a passion project. So they do care. And people who say that they don't care about the console community, dude, the last 4 years, almost exclusively every change they've made has been to, improve the quality of life for console. And anybody who's played the game long enough knows that. They're not doing anything that makes PC any better. It's all so that the console players are satiated, right? I mean, all the changes that I hate came from console players lamenting online, right? Like,
let's be honest. We wouldn't have CFG gameplay if it wasn't for console. The CFG gameplay was made so that we could do things that we couldn't use in the init-C.
Right.
You know,
all of the biggest complaints come from console. You know what I mean? And then they do fix them. A lot of people are new. They've been playing the game a year, maybe 2 years. You know, they weren't around back when you could ghost into people's bases and shit. You know, so
you got to look for the silver lining on everything, folks. Look at what Attrition's just written. PlayStation has a pretty cool feature, though. The fan in my poor PlayStation 4 speeds up to supersonic speeds and heats up. On the bright side, I'm saving a bunch of money on heating oil. So there you go. But no, they definitely, again, this whole update release process needs to be reworked. I'm not sure how they can do it well with console. Archie pointed out, experimental's been out for 3-4 weeks now, and the servers were pretty much dead. So
they were dead. I didn't see a single one hit medium pop.
Yeah,
including the privately owned PC experimental servers. Right. No one was on them.
To the comments in chat about BI not listening to feedback, I can say from firsthand experience that is not true. Using the feedback tracker, which is a pretty awkward tool to use, they absolutely do, but you can't just post in there, game is bugged, fix now. Like, you really need to be diligent about, here's a repro case, here's when it happens, here's the situation exactly, and with as much detail as possible. Otherwise, I mean, as a modder, I get the same things where, hey, the hellies are bugged, or that I can't spawn them. Okay, well, you got to give me a little bit more to go on than that.
Exactly, dude. Chronic consumers, man, it drives me nuts. Honestly, I think people are used to AAA games. They've been spoiled by them, and
and what they don't realize, fail massively as well.
All the time. Look at every release lately. Every game's coming out broken. You know what I mean? But you're talking about a game that's 10 years old. So instead of every year releasing a reskinned version of the same game, Ubisoft, EA, if you played Assassin's Creed 1, you've played all of them. Right? It's just a reskinned. Right. Anyway, instead of doing that over the decade, they've just updated the same game. You know, they don't have the privilege of games like Rust, where it's been kind of a similar team the entire time, right? So there's going to be things that are broken and don't get caught. But I think they're doing a good job. I mean,
how do you guys rate this update compared to? We've had some absolute truck smash updates in the past. How bad is this one compared to some of the worst we've had in the past?
I think it's up there with it, personally.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
It's top 5 for sure.
But, I mean, you can see why, and again, I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying you can see where the things slip through the cracks. Yeah. And people have a right to complain, right? Yeah. They're the consumer. 100%. They bought the product, but if you just, instead of complaining, just report it, and then they'll fix it. They know about it. And the fact that they came out and acknowledged it says a lot to me. You're not going to see the devs. You're not going to see Nikita doing that with EFT. So
Stud Muffin, thank you so much for the 200 there, mate, as well. And I want to shout out your comment. Trucker Games is saying they don't listen to feedback unless you're a major content creator. Stud Muffin's got there. They do. They have even responded to me directly, and I'm a nobody in the DayZ community. And to be honest, most of us on here are really nobodies. We're all small fry. We're no smokes. We're no the running mans, stuff like that. We're all fairly, what do you call us? B-list celebrities, D-list celebrities.
D-list, I think, is probably closer.
Definitely a D-tier patch and being talked about by D-list DayZ community folks. But they do listen, and it's a lot of it. It comes down to the way that you format it. When you're just in the chat there saying you guys suck, all the rest of it, they're not going to be listening to that. But when you do take the time, to do stuff like they've been referencing one of your videos, haven't they, Scalespeeder, on how to fix an issue?
Yeah. Well, Mark's, as he does quite a lot of the time, sent me a message saying, by the way, I've had some messages from his console followers saying they were having trouble with the control scheme, which is the going from just tapping B or circle to combine stuff to holding it, and also the fact that it was bugged as well. So he said you might want to look at it, and I went, oh, okay. So which is very kind of him, and he's excellent for doing that. So I made a video about it, as I do, like 5 minutes, and they've been they were saying, oh, if you've got a trouble, then kind of have a look at that, and they've done that with a few different posts from people. But I think maybe, to be devil's advocate, I think maybe what we would like to see, rather than that, is from someone like me, especially with I know I'm harping back to the JSON issue, but it really was critical. Would have been a statement saying, okay, guys, if you use JSONs in your server to spawn loot, these are the steps you need to do right now. Disable the JSONs. Roll back to Monday night's backup on your server. That sort of stuff. Do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are things that we need to do, and then maybe that would have had a bit more of a positive outcome for them. Plus, also, I think they need to work a lot closer with Nitrado and understand that they sell these servers very easily on the Xbox app and on the Nitrado website to people, and this isn't just console, but to PC community servers only, to people who aren't experts. And they market these servers to people who aren't experts. And it's great for the likes of me, because I can make my videos about how to do things and how to solve things and things like that. But I think there should be much more communication from Bohemia to Nitrado, and from Nitrado out to server owners saying, right, on update date, you need to do this. Because still, within PC servers and community servers, on update day, people don't know how to update their mission files. And this has been going on forever.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that they would actually just have an email
that.
template, and they can just update it, and they send it out. The update's about to happen. As a server owner, this is what the minimum steps you need to take for a basic pure vanilla server. Everything after that is on you.
Yeah, I mean, but Bohemia Interactive, they don't even update their GitHub repository for the mission files. I don't think it's even been updated yet to 1.2 files. The only way that you can...
Oh, it usually takes well over a month to do that.
Yeah, the only way you can get them is if you subscribe, if you have the experimental server. Have server on subscribe to server in Steam, and then download the updated files from there. So there needs to be more communication that way, I think, between them when it comes to updates, because a lot of the stuff about infinite stamina and things like that was purely because people weren't updating from 119 to 120 CFG gameplay files because they didn't know they had to, and there's many people out there.
Yeah, I think that all goes back to what we've been saying about maybe someone who's like an ambassador between Bohemia and the server community and modder community. They can
They need to open up something like that. Because Nitrado does have some sort of similar program, but to get something like that at Bohemia, I think would be a huge thing. Because there's so many creators in the community that I know would have critical feedback, and want to provide that stuff and help the server, help the game grow. Even
and you could avoid debacles like this in the future.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
And there's still more servers.
True. Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about something a little bit more, because we could go on and on and on about this topic, but I do want to find out from folks their thoughts on the trailer. I saw it got interesting responses from people. Let's bring it up.
18.
What do we think of it?
My takeaway, because I actually hadn't watched that before, but looking at it, it's like, okay, there's masks and DayZ gameplay.
Yeah, I'll say I'm an artist. I like what they were doing with it. I think from a marketing perspective, they're going after girl gamers with that one. Like you could do this as a couple, you know what I mean? That's kind of what it looks like to me. Like if I was trying to convince my wife to play DayZ with me, I would show her that trailer.
You've got to remember as well, and it wasn't really made clear, but it was also a Valentine's Day release. So
Right,
that
Sure.
does tie into a lot of the love hearts and all the rest of it. Attrition, what in the Fortnite fuck was that? I didn't mind it, but I again, yeah, with my age and being a grumpy old man. Scalespeeder, what did you think of it, buddy?
I kept pausing it, looking at like the writing to see if
That's
there's any.
what I was hoping
Easter
I
someone
did
would
the
bring
same
up.
thing, bro. I did the same thing. I swear. I didn't want to sound like I had autism, though. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of, it smacked of an update where look, we haven't got that much to show you, but let's. There was probably someone in the office who said, "I've got an idea. Let's do this," and they let them run with it, didn't they? Because I felt it felt very Eastern European, very in with kind of DayZ sort of the style of it. So yeah, I mean, it was a cool little short thing, wasn't it? I mean,
I
there
even
wasn't
tried
that much
to.
new to show.
I tried to throw a grenade in the pond to see if fish came up because it kind of looks like it in the video when she throws the grenade in the pond and then they're cooking fish next.
Right.
Almost like she caught fish with the grenade.
The thing is, like Phoenix is saying in chat there, it's just a trailer. I wouldn't read too much into it. They love to slip stuff in. They love
Yeah,
to
they do.
slip
Oh, yeah.
stuff in. Easter eggs all the time. They've released the V3S coming out was just a little snippet. You could only just make out part of it in a trailer. And so
Me too. Yeah.
everyone is watching those. And one like that, where there was literally all that text popping up, I did wonder if someone had gone back and watched and gone through every scene looking for any potential Easter eggs hidden in the stuff that was popping up on the video there. But I didn't mind it, but it definitely was a break from the usual. I think they've got the feedback on what people thought of it. I didn't mind it. It was something a bit different, but not what I was expecting. I did watch it and just sit there, and I had to go back and watch it again. It was like literally, what in the Fortnite fuck was that? I was. Is this a DayZ trailer? What?
At first it was weird, but then again, like you also have to think they're trying to appeal to the Zoomers now, man. Like, and you're competing with TikTok attention spans, so all that busy stuff going on is keeping people engaged.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that stylistic stuff they did, I thought that was pretty nice. It was just more the meat that I was looking for.
Again, though, how
I'm
do you
not much of-
showcase? I cut you off. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I'm not much of a DNon person, so looking for all the, hey, I think I saw a word if you form in the lines, if you zoom in real close, I will look at that.
Yeah. Sometimes that's how you debunk stuff, though, especially with these
That
guys.
is true. That is true.
Yeah, we did the video short of the shared bans listing. We've had a lot of feedback, from people in the community across. I put it out onto as many platforms as I can to try to get as much feedback as possible from folks. But we had comments like one from Johan Haag. Unfortunately, everything that can be exploited, no matter what. But keep in mind, not long ago, people complained about cheaters, and cheaters held servers hostages. At lack of a better word for it, Bohemia did not much about it. So modders made a solution. Not a perfect, but it was the tools available. Sucks that some innocents get caught in the middle. Also, if someone is abusing the rules on one server, they would do it on the next. People don't change. Abusive to admin is hard to judge too. Might just have been a fuck you to the admin, but it could also be a racist, homophobic, threatening, or whatever. And at least I would not be wanting such people on my server if I had one. It is a hard nut, and people will be stuck in the crossfire. And honestly, if you play and the server said video evidence if you are the instigator required and you don't, then suck it up. So there was a lot of feedback. Well, Fred,
I wanted to jump on this. I wanted to jump on this grenade. Just because there's some misunderstanding, I think, by a lot of people as to when we talk about shared ban list and like it's this central thing that once you get your name on the no-fly list, you can't get it off, that sort of thing. And that's really not the case. It's up to the individual server owners what ban list they want to share into their server. Whether it's I know Archie doesn't like people that kill chickens, so he bans any chicken killers. I think that's good, so I'm going to use Archie's ban list and integrate it into mine, that sort of thing. So it's really up to the server owners. It's not necessarily some central clearinghouse of bans. That does happen when there's a lot of, and it actually got pretty bad for a bit where there was a lot of cross-sharing between a lot of the big servers. So once you got banned on one, it propagated out. I had that happen on my servers where I was also sharing my ban list out, and I get people coming to my Discord and wanting to clear their good name. Even though they didn't want to play on my server, they said, well, your server is showing me as banned, and I don't like that against my reputation, so please take me off. And I'm saying, you were banned on this other server. There's not a lot of information. I'm not going to unban you just because you say. If you're unbanned by them, I'll unban you. Eventually, I just got out of the whole thing because it was way too much work dealing with these folks that were trying to clear their name. And I don't know. Everybody's got a story. You never know what's real and what's not.
Prestige brings something up there. Prestige, could you provide a bit more detail that teleports you when you spawn in someone's territory? So the list is effing bullshit. I'm on from a trigger-happy admin. Now every server I join, I'm either having to make a ticket or getting admins DM me over a feature that was in rearmed servers. What was the feature? The feature that teleports you when you spawn in someone's territory? I'd like to know more about that, but it's we had another one here from Barbecue Smoker. As an owner of several servers and an admin, I'll confirm that most bans are not justified and listed incorrectly. As an owner and admin, it falls onto us to provide as much proof as possible to prove someone is guilty of cheating. Now, banning for anything outside the lines of cheating and running scripts is based purely on feelings, and that's wrong. Everyone has the right to say what they want to say. Now, just because they're talking smack in your Discord doesn't deserve a server ban. And no one admin should ever take on the responsibility of banning a player without voting from the other admins. If I see a player who's been banned for Discord reason, but actually has no proof against him, and that player can provide screenshots that it came from a Discord admin getting all in their feelings, then I have no problem contesting that ban on their behalf. I honestly believe if the server owners and admins were held accountable for false bans, then they would think twice before banning someone because they put more time into providing proof and actually looking out for their other players' best interest for honest gameplay. Breaking a server rule should never be a permaban, as it's a server rule, unless the server rule is no cheating or scripting. And he thanks us for doing the video. It's a very divisive topic, isn't it, Scalespeeder?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm no expert on it because all the servers I run are gatekept by you've got to pay to get on them. So I don't really get any nasty people on anymore. That's the reason why I did that. So I don't use any ban lists apart from my internal ban lists. I've only got a few people on there who were from before the time when I indicated the paywall on my servers. So, but yeah, I can imagine it's a right nightmare. I know. Before, I used to run Xbox and PlayStation servers that were open, And we had not a big community, but we had a couple of hundred people. And I know it was a nightmare, because people get annoyed about things. Someone did this, someone stole this, someone was cheating. And it was really tough. Took an awful lot of my time, a load of my time. Had a great fun. We had some great events and made some great friends. But eventually I just had to say, no. We're not doing this anymore. Everybody, you've got to pay a little bit every month towards the upkeep of it. And it went behind a paywall. And then the people who are part of it now, they're a little bit invested because they've got to pay a little bit of money. They're a little bit invested in it, so they're more likely to follow. Well, they do follow the rules most of the time anyway. And it all goes very, very smoothly.
The problem seems to be a lot of the when it's clear that someone has used a hacking or something like that. That's fair enough. But it's a lot of the like the example that we showed, someone toxic in chat, and there was no proof uploaded. And I've got I stand by. At the end of the day, if you're the one financing the server, you're the one who's there every update, doing all of the dicking around to make sure the server's still good to go as quickly as possible after an update goes live. You ultimately have the final say along with your admins. I always believe that there should be, like Barbecue Smoker said, at least 2 people verifying the same ban, or at least going through and reviewing them. There are some things someone could do or say that would warrant them being kicked immediately, subject to a review. But you've got to have that review. But to be uploading it where it could be seen by everyone, that needs to be held to a higher standard. But how do you do that higher standard? Who does
just differentiate? Just differentiate that it's a community guideline violation as opposed to like an actual game. Like you can't cheat in the game. Like that's BattleEye that should be doing that, but it doesn't. Right. So then the server owners have to do it. But most of the bans, the vast majority of the bans are for community guidelines violations, and those are all subjective, So that's
one
the
server
problem.
allows, another server doesn't, and vice versa.
Exactly, like he said about chicken killing, And the thing is, a lot of the times, like I don't use any shared ban list because everybody gets a clean slate with me. I look at the CF Tools bans. When a player joins a server, it says if they have a ban on another DayZ CF Tool server, and it says what for. My whole point last week, because you asked me, was if someone joins my server, I can see it. Everyone can see it that uses CF Tools. If I look your name up in CF Tools, I can see that you've been banned on XYZ server and for what. There's almost never proof or evidence in the evidence section that he provides, the Philip fella. So people are just, this guy's a dickhead, get him out of here. I was banned. I've had admins show up and be extremely disrespectful immediately, just come at you with full attitude right away. And then when you say, well, what's your problem, man? Calm down. You're banned for disrespect. You know what I mean? So and at the end of the day, it's their server. But
yeah, well,
bad
bring
mans
up
are just as bad as cheaters, in my opinion.
You bring up the point, which is this whole ban list and shared ban list and all that. It's all a decentralized system. Yep. It's not like it's going into a master database or something. So it's really up to the server owners to say, what do I want to use to manage player behavior on my server? Do I want to just pull in everybody's ban list and know that I'm creating a mess? Do I want to be very particular? Do I want to not use any shared ban list and just manage my own? So that's where the challenge is. And but the players see it as there's big brothers out there watching me, and if I do something that somebody screws me over on one server, it's suddenly I'm banned everywhere. That's not always the case. And if you want to go play on a server and you seem to be banned there, go on their Discord and ask, hey, can I play? And I've got this ban
if you're not banned from
server
the Discord
and it was BS, and they can sort it out themselves.
The Prestige DM'd me with his one. He said he spawned in after the server was DDoSed and turned around, killed the owner of the base, and it teleported me out. He clipped it and sent it to an admin saying I spawned in and teleported out using hacks, but it was from the feature they had in the game that stops people loading into your territory and teleports you out, but is delayed. So that one, but it's on there, and if it's not removed, and this is the kind of where it comes back to the issue. Now, I found something out about CF Tools that it is actually a monetized mod. So they're making money from the mod. So to me, that adds a little bit more impetus on what we just lost Red. You guys all there still? Hello.
It's interesting.
Oh, there we go. There we go. We had a bit of a brain freeze then. All my cameras from you guys started disappearing. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Archie's here, yeah. This Discord looks like.
Yeah, Discord must be having problems, Jacob Mango's saying. So, yeah. But, so, the Sea of Tools is actually... Boy, he's downloading for Scalespeeder, you're showing how much of a boomer you are. You don't even need to download that anymore, mate. You should stream it. But, yeah, so...
I've forgotten what it's all about, mate, I tell you.
But... When they're making money from it, I do think there's more of an onus on them to run it more legitimately. I know that their primary customers are the server owners and admins who are purchasing their tool. They offer a free version of it, but it's one of those things, and I've got no issue with this, that it's carefully curated so that the bigger your server becomes, the more likely you're going to be we need to start paying some money every month to get the better access to the services and that. But there also then needs to be more responsibility about the information that's being entered into it. Now, I did see someone said earlier, you thought Philip from Sea of Tools was going to be on. No, but I am still gathering information because it's a massive rabbit hole. And the other one that I am quite interested in looking more into is Red Falcon alluded to it last week, the shared ban list from the server owners Discord, which is basically completely unregulated. That's just a wild west of whoever's on there, from what I understand.
I would say that it's not Wild West, but it is self-regulating, and there are discussions that go on relating to bans, or if you have a question about someone that you see is banned that you want to unban them on your server if you're using the shared lists. That's also where the shared lists get published. So if you want to, hey, I want to use, rearmed ban list or somebody else's ban list, it's available there.
And
but
yes,
it's also there's a bit of
Sauerkraut saying Sea of Tools is not a mod. Red got me as well with that last week when I did the thumbnail for the video. It's in the workshop, so to a pleb like myself, it's a mod. But yes, you are correct. It's a tool
And it's also to talk about them, CF Cloud or CF Tools having some responsibility about the banned contents or trying to maintain some standard around that. He is doing that to some degree. If you're sharing your ban list, they do scrutinize what bans you have on there when you first go on. But really, they're just a clearinghouse for that data. So it's like the phone company regulating what you say on the phone and saying you can't say, racist things on the phone if you're using our phone system. It's basically the same thing. It would be way too much effort for them to try to regulate that.
As for holding the admins accountable, who holds them accountable?
Each other.
Each other. If you're sharing your ban list or the players on your server.
But I'm talking more about. Someone said earlier or it might have been in one of the comments, that there needs to be more accountability for server admins and owners and what they're adding to that list. But how do you do that other than name and shame, which is, I'm often in favour of name and shame, but you need to be careful because we see it all too often these days. People start naming and shaming the minute they hear about something, and then they do it without taking into detail any context. There may be history, that sort of stuff. So I'm always reluctant about that. But are people saying, that what BI should ban them from running a server, or if they're found to have been malicious in some of the bans they're listing? Who knows?
I mean, maybe like a server owner guidelines from the server host, but no one's going to follow it. I mean, if I'm paying, my $110 a month for my server, and you tell me I have to give a guy a 72-hour ban on the first offense for combat logging or something, first of all, that's way too much, and I don't know. I'm American. We historically love our freedoms, but,
right.
So I would just out of spite be like, fuck this. So I don't really think personally that there's any way you could hold admins accountable other than just not playing on their servers.
That's exactly. It's voting with your feet. Yeah. So if you have a very poor track record of bans on your server, your population is going to drop. Right. Same thing with your shared ban list. If people find that they're running into a bunch of players that are coming to them with problems with your bans. Eventually, your ban list is going to get dropped. People aren't going to use it because it's not trustworthy.
Yeah, that's me. Anytime I see a Sunnyvale ban, I just ignore it.
Exactly.
I shared a video earlier this week, and I want to just share it now because this is one for all the server admins. I know that it gets hard when you particularly when you're having people posting you and trying to stir you and get a raise out of you, like this guy clearly does. But I heard a new term mentioned, and it's the term Dadmin. And this is the mindset. If you're not in a good headspace as a server admin, don't engage with people on the internet. But this guy,
this is a great video.
He absolutely nails it. This is the nicest admin I think I've ever heard.
Hey, Daniels. Can you hear me?
Hello?
I was just looking through the Discord. We can't use the word retard. You can't say that. Don't use that word, okay? It's against our Rule 1 policy.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
Some people find it very offensive, so, okay, just don't do that.
Okay, but in Europe, it's allowed, so.
This is an American server, so we're allowed to make the rules as we wish. Have fun, dude. Hey, Daniel. Can you hear me, man?
Yeah.
Daniels. Hey, man, you need to join the squad, okay? I kicked you from the game a minute ago because you were not in a squad for an extended period of time. Just join up with a squad, okay?
Wait, a squad?
You need to join a squad. You need to join a squad.
What if they don't like me?
It doesn't matter if they don't like you or not. You can't play on a signed all game. It's against server rule.
What if everyone hates me?
You're not serious, are you? Listen, man, I'm not gonna mess around and play around. Just please join a squad, okay?
What if they hate me?
You don't want to be unassigned. You sound like a nice guy. They're not gonna hate you. Alright, just gonna warn you. Final warning, okay? Don't call anybody names. Don't do anything stupid. As long as you can play nice, we'll play nice back. Daniels, you got 2 minutes to join the squad, man. You can't play unassigned.
I just came back.
2 minutes to join.
I just came back from being AFK.
To join the squad, man. 2 minutes to join the squad, or you'll be kicked. Last warning. Hey, Daniel, need an admin for something?
Yeah, I'm being bullied.
By?
By you.
Oh, by me.
I just want to play the game.
Well, buddy, I haven't kicked you from any squads or kicked you from a game in about 2 hours.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to play the game and shoot some people.
Well, you can do that in a squad, man.
Yeah, but I'm like antisocial.
Okay. If you really want to play by yourself, I will make a note that you're antisocial and don't like playing with other people. If that's what you truly want.
Oh, thank you.
We will leave you alone. I'll put a note in your profile.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Okay. Have a good game, man.
That to me is the gold standard of being a DayZ admin. You could tell that guy was trying to bait him, trying to get a rise out of him, get a reaction, and that to me, Dadmin was, when I heard it, it was brilliant. What did you think of that, Scalespeeder?
Yeah, it's all about patience, isn't it? And that guy had patience, definitely.
Yeah. Yep. And that guy didn't go too far, did he, Archie? Yeah, he was being a bit edgy, dropping the R-bomb in the Discord and all the rest of it. But yeah, if they go too far, obviously you've got to pull the pin on it. But that was almost a textbook way to be an admin, wasn't it?
Daniel from Second Life is my inspiration to make content. So anything he puts out, that's like a Christian watching Jesus walk across water, man. I'm such a fangirl for DNSL. He usually gets a rise out of people. That's his whole shtick. And that guy was just super chill. It's kind of like when you kill a guy in Call of Duty and you're like, you fucking suck. And he's like, you got me, buddy. Good job. And then, you're like, fuck, I just killed Wholesome Henry. So but and the way they really try to be intrusive and try to dictate the way you play the game, that drives me fucking nuts. That's very representative of a lot of RP servers in DayZ. A lot of the rules keep you on rails. But
that's the case of you need to research your server. If you join a server and You don't know what the rules are. At the end of the day, they can stipulate how you're meant to play on that server. But that was
Not
a good
necessarily, though.
That was a good compromise. They had a rule, and then he gave his made up, trying to get a rise out of him reason. And the guy was like, okay, fair enough if you feel that way. It's kind of a sign of the times now. You don't want to offend anyone, Lemons, but they made a good compromise there, Lemons.
Oh, absolutely. And at least on console, I wish people were like that, like the admins, because it's definitely the opposite.
Yeah, I got banned from a server for my RP not being up to par with what they expected, and I swear they were just looking for a reason to kick me off the server.
God almighty.
You weren't doing the right accent.
Yeah, it was stupid.
I couldn't tell you how many like military roleplay servers on like the console edition where they'll do that kind of stuff. Like, no bullshit. If you do anything out of line, not even a warning, they'll just ban you instantly. And it can be for the stupidest shit, and especially now because we've got a lot of Discord bots, like the kill feed stuff. I've talked to like Falcon about this kind of stuff before. They have a lot of integration that you can do now, and one of the biggest things they're trying to do is make a global ban list, so that on console, if someone gets banned from a Discord bot, they'll be able to ban them across every Nitrado server that uses that Discord bot. And because on console, Discord kill feeds and like all those kind of bots are one of the biggest things that they rely on. Every server has one of those right now. Like, if you are a successful server, or you want to be a successful server, you need to have a kill feed, or else people just won't play on it. Because it's one of the biggest things people will rely on, or what drives like attention and like your traffic to your Discord and stuff. So
I don't like those sorts of global ban lists. There needs to be something like a court and a jury system before someone can be added to a global ban list. Is pretty much best standard for me. When you've got these automated ones, that's just that's
So even
the worst part is too, like what Archie was saying with like how on CF, like their ban list, you at least are able to check the reason why people are banned. On console, it's just if someone gets banned, there's no reviewing it, no nothing. Every Discord that has a Nitrado server that uses that kill feed bot, the players gonna be banned on it. Like, end of story.
Yeah, so, and then a lot of times they'll hybrid ban them, so their IP gets banned too, and then no one that lives there or at the same IP can play. So.
No, I think that's the only difference between PC and console, because on console you can't IP ban. It's only based on gamertag. So technically, if you want to work around, you could just make a new account. But
Sauerkraut's got a good point there in chat as well. And no shade, but kill feed drags in hackers, sadly, because they want to be on the top of that list. You won't find many people using hacks on RP, PvE servers or anything like that. It's the PvPers, the KOSs, that are more likely to be that way. So, yeah. We're starting to get a bit time poor, folks. So I want to cover a post made by DatGuySyl, combat logging. One of the banes of our existence in a game like DayZ, but I think there's some merit to this idea.
This is one of DayZ's biggest problems. I was in Tissy, and then this happened. Oh, there he is. That knocked him out. I managed to knock out the player with a single shot. 2 minutes later, I pushed his building. Only to find out that the player had combat locked. Combat logging literally means logging out during a combat situation. This is often very frustrating, and my suggestion for the developers will be quite simple. If a player fires a shot within 100 meters or you get hit, you receive the PvP debuff. You can't log out, and if you do, your character will still be there for 10 minutes. This is an easy fix and would simply put an end to combat loggers in DayZ. This is one of DayZ's biggest problems.
What do you guys think?
I was in
I'll let somebody else jump in before I start ranting.
Okay, first of all, if someone, okay, it's a good idea in theory, but there's so many ways that people could exploit it. As soon as I saw that, I'm thinking, how do I troll people with this, right? So put a 60-second login and log out on your server, right? He said he pushed in 2 minutes, so he took his time. You're not going to control people being scummy players. And then you just, what if somebody has to go do something IRL? People combat log all the time. It's annoying as hell. But you don't see that kind of thing in Rust because your character's stuck there regardless. So you kind of have to go somewhere safe. And dip out that way. But I don't know if I'm the amount of times I crash during PvP because of how bad the servers are running right now, I would just rage quit DayZ until they got rid of that shit. I understand what he's saying though, and combat logging is the bane of any good player. You go all the way to Tizzy, you get the drop on a guy, you pop him, and when he wakes up, he logs out. So I don't know why it would anyway. He had the fatal.
Even if you tied it into something like damage, it would even be a way to troll someone. You're with someone and you just give them a quick punch when they're about to log off, and they forget that if they log out before the timer, it is open to abuse. But I think there's merit for maybe a mod so that if a server wants it, they can add it.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Scalespeeder?
Yeah, I think you'd have it as a mod probably. So when you entered Tizzy, you would get a warning saying, by the way, you're in a PvP area, and if you get into combat, it's going to take you 5 minutes to log off. Maybe you can't even log off until you leave that area. That sort of thing. I don't know, but I'm not really big into PvP, so
I feel like I've seen that
possible
mod
idea
before.
where you. I don't know whether you could make it around the specific military zones, so that that is an area where once you're in there, if you've received damage for 5 minutes, if you log out, you're going to be basically killed. Your character will be killed. So, yeah, the risk mods is paid.
I think a lot of people. I lose a lot of people with this one, but the way Rust does it, where your character stays in the game when you're not on, people would have to play DayZ a completely different way if that were the case.
Yep.
It would.
How does that work in Rust? I've never played it, but do people rage about losing everything or do you lose everything if you're killed in your sleep?
You lose what's on your character, right? But they got to get control of your tool cupboard to open things in your base and stuff. But I mean, you could literally just go stash all your stuff in the woods and bury it and then log off, and your character's laying there asleep on Rust, right? So everybody goes to sleep in their base if they care about their character. That way wolves and boars and bears and shit can't kill them. But a lot of time also that would kind of solve the combat logging issue because you don't see that.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking, could you imagine the amount of bodies you would find sleeping on day one Namolsk, a map like that? That server probably has 1,000 people go through it every day, let alone how many in a month. And how long do the bodies stay there for before they despawn if you don't get back on again?
I don't know. I don't play Rust. I just watch a lot of Stimpy streams. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it, could be something that they could look at, but people are just going to find a way to exploit that too. They're going to go up on top of a tree and log out or something. It all goes back to anything you implement to try to, fix a problem. People are going to figure out a way to exploit it.
Well,
for every law, there's a loophole. Yeah.
I'll jump in here. So I think putting it into the vanilla game, I think that's one that I forget what my comment was, something about bare knuckle fighting in my undies to prevent that. As a mod, sure. Realistically, there are a lot of other styles other than hardcore PvP to play the game. As was mentioned, hey, I'm going to go run an errand or pick up the kids or whatever. I'm going to log off, and then some knucklehead within 50 meters of you just pops a random shot off, and now your player is kind of, potentially screwed.
Right.
You get your game crashes or you get discoed. Now you're in potentially a world of hurt depending on where you are. And then on top of all of that, if combat logging on a particular server that's a hardcore PvP server is not allowed, it's easy enough to put in an admin ticket to say, I was fighting a guy in this area and he combat logged. It's very easy to see who it was and when it happened in the logs, and then the admins can take whatever action they want against that person. So it's a very solvable problem.
Yeah, it's the number one thing we ban for. I swear to God, we ban somebody every day for combat logging.
Right.
Because everybody a lot of people can't handle the adrenaline that comes with PvP and DayZ, man.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like he's saying, what if you do log out and then a zombie does that magical DayZ thing where they glitch through the door or something and kill you later?
Into 30 seconds while your body's on the fair enough. Okay, got another one for you. This was a bit of a throwback to last week, Archie, where you were talking about thumbnails. I saw this video on Twitter.
Yo, Cobra would love this.
And that was all from the process of making a thumbnail. I just found that absolutely amazing to watch. And I'm so glad someone did it, because for those who are, semi-artistic, it shows the process of, pretty much from idea through to reality.
Yeah, unfortunately, that kind of thing is going to be rare in the coming months because of all the AI generated stuff.
And yeah, no, I thought that was absolutely beautiful. I think that was a thumbnail for Centurion A21. So yeah, that was just absolutely beautiful to see done. What else have we got here? This one, I wasn't sure. This is kind of heading into your territory, Red Falcon.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
The zombies throwing rocks at you when you climb up.
Yep.
What do you guys think of this?
I think just let them climb up.
No, it's a gap in the game, in gameplay that I've seen, where especially with containers, it's way too easy you get into an area that's got some storage containers or connects, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of zombies there are infected, and you just hop up on the container and then start popping heads.
Yeah, I do it with a car. You can just jump on a car. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or or you can go in a house with a ground level window, and I killed 27 zombies 2 days ago. I took a screenshot. Popped a shot out the window. Every zombie in Svetlogorsk ran to us, and we killed them all with a pitchfork.
Now there's the suspension of disbelief, and I always kind of chuckle when I come up with these things because it's a zombie game, for crying out loud. But zombies throwing rocks, it's a bit of a stretch in the lore, but from a gameplay perspective, I think it's great.
Scalespeeder?
I think that.
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's really. I think you do have that problem, don't you? If you get chased by a load of zombies, you hop onto a car boot and you just hit them with a stick and you can kill them all. You have a big pile of zombies and you can loot all their bodies, which is a bit. It's not fun. I don't think at all that. Or you do it through a window, which I learned from Archie. But yeah, so if you had a special type of zombie who, I don't know, maybe they spit acid at you or something, I don't know, or sick or something like that. But yeah, the fact that you think, oh, I'm safe up here, and all of a sudden, blop, you take some damage, that would definitely get the adrenaline going.
Well, I mean, they can climb over. They can vault walls and such. Why can't they climb up on the car?
Absolutely.
I mean, they said this year they're going to redo the AI. Thank God, because that is that stresses me out so much. The zombies are so broken. I mean, them beating down doors or knocking down doors. I remember seeing concepts for that like 5 years ago on Twitter.
Yeah.
That the devs were actually looking into that. So, I mean, that would completely change the game. I think it's going to get to a point where you have to climb a ladder to get away from zombies. Or build your base because they can't climb over base walls, right? So.
Yep.
So then, retreating to your base or climbing up a ladder to get away from them would be the only way. Their pathing isn't bad. I know I know the nav meshes are a little wonky, but they know how to fix it. So.
There are mods that make it a little bit better. So.
Just looking for a link for you. Phoenix has got in there. How do you go about reporting servers that are charging players donations to get high tier gun loot? That's one that they do take very seriously. And all you need to do is just follow this link here, and you'll be able to find information about how to report a server that is doing that. And we do recommend you do it because 99,999 times out of 100,000, that's a dodgy server. If they're doing that, what else are they allowing their players to do? Run hacks and probably selling hacks to them and all sorts of stuff. It ruins it. Yeah, not a fan of that at all. But yeah, carry on.
With the zombie AI, in a perfect world, I think that at some point they should be able to interact with people's bases. Because one of the biggest issues that like we've talked about before on the show is that once you build your base, you can just deploy your loot and you can just have that all kind of like in this perfect little place, bubble, where you don't have to worry. And a lot of people just log out and leave it till wipe, But imagine if there was that threat of zombies attacking your base or damage being done over time, I think
7 days to die kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially if they, I don't know. I'm kind of worry about that because of how bad they run right now. I kind of think because I'll be standing in a city and I'll watch 10 of them spawn in front of me while I'm standing still. After I just killed 30, and they're just so prone to bugs that it's almost game breaking in my opinion. I've had a lot of streams where we've been having a great time and now you get cut, you get a laceration almost every hit from zombies or infected, whatever. So I'm kind of, like I said, worry about them making changes because it could really, they are the cornerstone of the game, the infected, but I don't know, man.
Send me a DM, mate, and I'll pass on any info you've got to someone in the DayZ dev team to follow up on because they do take that stuff seriously. The only thing I worry about is, we've got the mods now where the zombies can break down doors, and if they start throwing rocks at you when you climb up high, what do you do when you're in that situation where you just need to get away? You can't go and hide in a building anymore. You can't climb up something. So, are we going too far with it? But in principle, I like it. I'm into the cock and ball torture style of DayZ, where it's hard. Ultimately, it comes down to just don't aggro them. But if they implemented that into vanilla, I think a lot of the casuals would be very upset, wouldn't they, Scalespeeder?
Yeah. I think that the idea of just having one sort of vanilla public server, I think they should move away from that. I think they should do lots of different types of public servers, official servers. There should be a beginner server where maybe you don't have the high tier loot that you up at Tizzy and places like that, but you have less zombies and you have more food, and then you introduce the higher level loot and maybe things like contaminated zones in different servers. So I don't see anything wrong with having different settings on official servers in different places to onboard players into the game. Definitely, and it's like as Archie says, for me, it's about immersion as well. And let's have some less zombies, but let's have them behaving in a more realistic manner, as far as you can say. As Red Falcon says in a zombie game. Let's have it, so that they're more like the zombies from something like Zombie Army Trilogy or Zombie Army 4 from Sniper Elite, or basically any other zombie game, really. Let's have them breaking down doors, tripping over each other, attacking each other, that sort of stuff.
Hear me out. Imagine if the zombies acted in the way they do in Left 4 Dead. Imagine that type of threat in DayZ for a second. That would be crazy.
I don't know if the engine would support that, but that would be even if there was a mod. There was a horde mod, I think, at some point that I remember playing, and it was insane. I had to log off after 30 minutes. I'm very good at DayZ, but it was just overwhelming. You'd have to climb up a ladder, and then when you run out of bullets, you're done. So you're constantly playing on new characters. So
I like that idea though of different difficulties in the servers. You could argue that first person versus third person is a difficulty. I don't think it is. Just a different play style. But yeah,
they have hardcore officials. So it says HC right there. If you want to go on a more harder difficulty, I would like to see a tutorial of some sort. It would put my channel out of business, but I think a lot of the problem is with the learning curve of DayZ is there's no tutorial. You wash up with amnesia, and it's DayZ, day zero. You go from there, and I'm learning things that I've been playing for 10 years and didn't know, that have been features all along. So all the time, I just learned that you can. If you have a radio on, you can type in chat and everybody with a radio can see it. I didn't know that. So it's like you're doing Morse code on your radio.
Right.
So I didn't know that, and if you have the backpack, they can see the chat globally throughout everybody on the server. That's a vanilla feature that no one knows about and no one uses.
I think they just like it because it's something that has kept people, always needing to learn. And yeah, as you said, Archie, it really does allow for channels like yours to keep on growing, mate.
And Scales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I would give up that growth for some things like that if they put tutorials in the game. Honestly, there's more than enough space around DayZ and lots of other games. I think any other dev will look at Bohemia Interactive's implementation of onboarding with DayZ, and they would definitely question it. I'm sure the DayZ devs must do, and go, we spend all this money to attract new players with advertising, with special offers, and all that sort of stuff. Yet their retention rate must be absolute. Well, we know it's terrible.
Yeah.
You just look at the achievements. How many accounts haven't done some of the higher achievements on console and on PC. And it's a real crying shame, I think. I mean, I love DayZ now, but as I said before, when it was on Xbox, I had to play it for 2 hours, and I hated it. I thought it was the worst game in the world. And it was only just a bit of luck that I thought, actually, no, I'll stick with it, and then started to understand what it was all about. And it wouldn't take much. No. To make it easier.
You can do
we
a
talked
little.
About that before, haven't we?
You could put an island there that's off the coast of the map. They have a tutorial where they spawn in, they make a fire, they make a knife, and then just update it as the updates come out. Like a year ago we couldn't make bone knives. So it wouldn't be that difficult. And there's plenty of other content that you could, that we could survive on.
Absolutely.
But definitely, I know every single person I meet on vanilla servers that's running around. They say, yeah, I've had this game for a year and I never played it because I never have a good time. I always just die. I don't know what to do. Do I gear up? Where do I go? And
sorry, but I was just going to say, you've got to listen to the latest episode, not today's one, but last week's episode of the Friendly podcast, because they took one of their mates who hated DayZ and got him back into the game, and they interview him about his feelings about it, and that's really fascinating as well.
Yeah, give them that love for DayZ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, one thing I want to ask you, Archie, I'm not sure if it's the same on PC, but do you guys have an intro teaser for DayZ? Because on console we actually have a little tutorial teaser. I remember
seeing a video of that, but no, we don't have it. There's no explanation whatsoever. Like I remember seeing one where the guy wakes up and he's on the beach and there's a radio and then some guy doing the absolute worst Southern impression I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Hey buddy, you're in Charnaroos. Welcome. You're in a goddamn apocalypse. I'm just like, bro. They picked some dude from California to do anyway, but I can't stand that. Anyway, we don't have that at all. So there's no tutorial whatsoever. When you hit escape and bring up the log in and out menu, whatever, there's little tutorials up at the top, but there's no like attention anchor to that whatsoever. I don't think there is in the vicinity tab. I know when you hit escape you can see it, but they're just little dialogue boxes up in the top. Yeah. So if they had like, but then again though, if you look at video game review channels and stuff, people fucking abhor tutorial sections in video games.
Yeah.
They hate them. They skip right over them. Nobody plays them. Even really good ones, like if you guys remember Half-Life Opposing Force, the tutorial in the beginning of that where you're at the Marine Corps barracks and you got to go through all the obstacle course and stuff. That was fun for me. I learned the game, but people just hate tutorials, man. Again, that's the edge DayZ has. It's rust for boomers,
I like what Zulu said, and it's something that I've thought myself, Scalespeeder. Why doesn't someone just make a beginner server? A few modders could probably get together. You have half the map is a safe zone. Make it very, very clear. Some sort of book that you spawn with, and a message that pops up, telling you to check your book. And it talks you through the basics. Advertise it, we'll promote it here. And that, your goal in DayZ is generally to make it to the areas where the best loot is. But, to be able to get there, you want to make sure you've got some basic gear. So loot around, try to find a gun, maybe tick off some objectives like a quest one, but it's a purely optional thing. You know, people can promote it and say, hey, this is a server that's set up by the community. Heck, I'd even, love to try and organise something under the 87.8 brand for it that we can promote. You know, give this a try. It'll talk you through the basics. But what do you think, Sour? Sorry, what do you think, Scalespeeder?
The problem is it has to be embedded in the game because new players won't know where to look.
Like a single player offline tutorial at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if when you fire up Armour 3, for example, it has a really it has a good intro video tutorial and a good playable tutorial where you jump in and you play a little scenario where it says this is how you run around, this is how you navigate. This is how you change weapons. It has all that sort of stuff, and it takes you about 45 minutes to work your way through it. That's what DayZ needs, but it has to be when you first turn on the game. Because I think we forget that you could be really good at PUBG, Battlefield, Call of Duty, adventure games, Assassin's Creed.
If you don't know how to not get a flu,
if you don't realise, I mean, I can still remember now, picking up a can of fish, starving to death. Picking up a can of food and going, why can't I eat this? Picking up a gun and going, how do I reload this thing? I've got bullets. I've got a magazine. Do I have to load individual bullets? You know, learning that and just being blown away and going, my God, this is mental. This is terrible. And then something clicks and you realise, oh, actually, this is really cool. You know, but it's got to be in the game when they first turn it on. There is the video, as Project Lemon says, but it is just the video. You know, it has to be something much more substantial to that. If they want to keep new players, you know. But let's see what the new version of Infusion brings. You know, that's what I'm waiting for.
Oh yeah.
But you do risk upsetting the. I can see the comments in chat. The game's being dumbed down. It's super Care Bear, but you do risk upsetting the people who like the fact that DayZ has a high entry point. That it's not for the casual. I've always mused about that myself. DayZ is its own worst enemy. It is a very hard game to get started on. Even Scum, which is technically a hard game, is still easier because you have a menu system. It shows you clearly what you need to make it. DayZ, you've got to have a bit more than a couple of brain cells upstairs and a basic rudimentary understanding of game mechanics. In DayZ, it essentially relies on the combination of two items. Some mods have taken that a little bit further, but if you don't understand that basic mechanic, and that's possibly where DayZ lets itself down, is that information is not readily available. You've got to work that out. Should it be common sense? Yes, but the most common thing about common sense is it's not that common. So
just have a tutorial overlay that they can turn off in the settings. So when you open up your vicinity menu, you open up your menu, and it says down in the bottom a little tutorial dialog will pop up to combine items, drag it till there's an orange outline. You know what I mean? But I agree they did dumb it down. They made it very, very arcade when 6.3 came out. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the game still kind of gatekeeps itself from players who don't want to invest the time into learning it, or they get easily overwhelmed. And in today's culture of, your AAA, this is exactly the same as the last game was. There's maybe 2 new features you need to learn. I don't know. Do we want those kind of players running around filling up the servers?
Yes. Yes, because they'll buy Livonia and they'll buy any other DLC that comes out, and they'll rent servers and they'll put loads of money into BI, and we'll get.
I mean,
if they did add an easy mode, it'd be great for the boomers like me and Red, because we'll be able to sit there and go, back in my day, they didn't spoon feed us.
That's right.
I mean, I think it's because people think vanilla is hard, like people that come straight in because they saw a JLK video or something. They're looking for that experience. So they figure out about community servers. They go play on there where they can sit in the safe zone and talk shit. And then they get on vanilla and they keep dying over and over and over because they can't choose their respawn. There's no map overlay. They can't, highlight a sprite for where their team member is. You know what I mean? People think vanilla is hardcore DayZ, and it's so easy now compared to how it used to be. So I kind of agree with the chat.
I mean, Scalespeeder, you look at some of the the community servers on console right now, the boosted loot ones, and you get those people to hop on official, and they're like bewildered. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I agree though. A bigger player base is great because then they're gonna have more money to reinvest. But with all the sales they're running and all the new players coming on, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, we are really pushing the time. Anything big in the modders world that we haven't already covered? Mostly everyone's just freaking out about the update, I'm guessing, Red?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a couple of new mods that have come out that are pretty exciting. I think Dumpgrah's 3D grid trigger is one that has lots of potential for people that want to create new environments. It's basically a grid tool that you can use to find exact dimensions of an area that you can put into the underground triggers JSON file that you can use to control. Like the example that he shows in the video is making a house so as soon as the player walks in the house, it's dark and has creepy sounds. So that's great if you're doing any kind of underground spaces or you want to create, caves or areas that have different environments. To me, that anything that's environmental and helps that immersion is always a plus in my book.
Console Lemons, anything big happening there, mate?
I mean, to be fair, that the thing Falcon was talking about with Dumpgrah's underground triggers, you can use on console technically, because we can use that stuff to because that file, the underground effect area, can be used across both platforms. So it'll be a great tool to be able to create new underground areas. But I'd say general news in console is just 1.20 and the mess that came with it. So
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel soon.
Archie, anything from you, mate?
No. Just want to shout out a guy named Bwais. I think that's how you say his name.
Yep.
He's a DayZ content creator in the YouTube space. Go give him a look. See, give him a subscription. It doesn't cost you a thing, and you're supporting an up and coming content creator who is passionate about the same thing we all are. So check him out. Show him some love. He puts out a lot of good content. I know everybody puts out the same video, it seems like, with the same limited information every time there's an update with DayZ, but there's always something different, something new in every single one of them. So you can never follow too many content creators and support them. So
What about you, Mr. Scalespeeder? You got anything big going on at the moment?
No, not really. I mean, I would say if anybody's listening to this and is thinking about getting into modding for console or PC, you want to check out Bhaalshad's Discord. I'll put a link in the chat. Amazing resource for PC and console. I go there and look up to see how to do things. So he's really good. I'd also say, if you want to know where the future of DayZ is going, I would say definitely check out Arma Reforger on Xbox and obviously PC, because they're making some great steps forward in the playability of that game. And it looks like DayZ when you're in it, and I think, it's very exciting what's going to be happening there.
It's a good idea. Good info.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find something, but I gave you guys all something, a bit of a teaser earlier this week with the little short that I released, that I've got a big announcement to make, a NDA I had to sign. Any guesses as to what that might be about?
Dirt matter.
Nope.
Becoming a lady.
Nope.
Your politician boyfriend.
Nope. Did anyone see the little or the little clue I put into the short I released?
No. I saw the short, but I didn't see a clue.
It was only very brief. I've got something weird going on. I just edited a video, and I can't fucking find where it went to. What is going on there? H264.
Lad's OnlyFans.
He's trying to compete with his mom's.
There we go. I've got it now. Okay.
The suspense is killing me.
Need to find that. 1 second. Got it. Let me just. Oh. God damn it. Move that over there. So I have a spotlight coming up.
Oh.
Let me know when you're all watching.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my.
G'day folks, so some of you may not remember, but last year there was an announcement that we're actually, as you can see on the screen, going to be getting DayZ the Movie. It's going to be a production by Face Fiction Productions and Infinite Wisdom Studios, who've reached an agreement with Bohemia Interactive to develop a movie, and the last we heard was that production could start as early as 2023. So what's been happening? Well, I've gotten in contact with Jay Sutherland, one of the producers, directors of the movie, and I've had to sign an NDA, so this one will not be done live on stream, but will be pre-recorded, edited, verified by them and Bohemia Interactive, and then I'll be able to upload it. But what we have agreed we would like to know is if you, the DayZ community, have any questions that you would like answered about the DayZ movie. Obviously, they're not going to be able to tell you everything, such as lead actors, storylines, plots, all the rest of that. A lot of that stuff is still in development, but what they can tell us, they're more than happy to share because they want to drum up a bit of excitement around it. It's been a bit quiet since the big announcement last year, so let's find out where they're at and what they've got planned. All the best, and make sure you leave your questions down below or join our Discord and post them in there as well. All the best, everyone. Ciao for now.
The wink.
Wow, what exclusive?
Wow.
Who had forgotten about it?
I've been thinking about it. I just I want Mark Wahlberg to play me.
I have to laugh about what King Alobar said in chat there, starring Alec Baldwin and Kevin Spacey. Jesus Christ. Oh, God, mate.
Depending on their budget, that might be.
But yeah, I'm really excited for it. I really am excited for it. So that video will be going up on the channel shortly. They're very keen to get questions. When I mentioned it to Jay, he was like, "That's a great idea. Would love to hear it." But yeah, obviously, it's a very serious business. So I've had to sign an NDA, which goes for 3 years. Basically, I'll do the interview with him. I'll ask questions from people, and I will put it this way. Obviously, there's only going to be so many questions we can ask. So I'm going to shill here, folks. Members, supporters of the channel, of the community, your questions will be the priority. So it is what it is, folks.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I'm mostly curious about the setting. Are they going to keep the setting the same? And how? Yeah.
Look, my son gave me a question because I was chatting with him about it, and the question he had was, okay, why make a movie for a game with no story?
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes the game unique, though, right? But I mean, they could, as usual, they video games. They buy the licensing for a name, and then they make a movie and slap the name on it. You know, like the new Resident Evil on Netflix that was abysmal. So maybe it could be a great, like a 28 Days Later kind of thing. That would be a perfect DayZ, movie. So
yeah, and they're a UK based operation, and they made one of the greatest movies in the zombie genre in the UK, 28 Days. So I'm excited for it. I genuinely am curious because, like my son said, there's no real, The Last of Us. They've got an easy script to follow. DayZ, you could argue it's good in that it's the possibilities are endless. But there's also, that means the possibilities are endless that you're going to do something that someone doesn't like. So
I mean, they could just have it surrounding the initial outbreak, and then and then show some character arcs, and then give it a nice twist at the end, and then bam, you got a movie.
Yeah. Do you call it the DayZ movie, or do you just call it something else? And it's just set in the DayZ universe, sort of thing. Yeah, it is. That's obviously a placeholder title and everything like that, but DayZ, I think, would make a fairly, you've got War Z, World War Z, so it does appeal to the zombie genre enthusiasts. So the other big thing as well, no matter what your thoughts are on it, it's more advertising for this game. I'm
stoked, man. Imagine all the fan service that would be in something like that, with the little Brian teddy bears in the background, and a random, they hear a helicopter crash, so they go to check it out.
Yep.
I mean, all the fan service you could put in there would be enough for me to go check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they actually did a post on Twitter the other day, which is what prompted me to get out and get in contact with them again. If you follow them on Twitter, I'll have all these links in the description of the video, but they did a post. Where is it? Let me just share it. And it kind of made me laugh because no one picked up on who they were. Who are the best DayZ content creators and streamers in your opinions? We are like a couple of the obvious ones, such as Freshborns and the Running Mans. Who else should we check out? And when I saw it, that post had been up about 40 minutes and no one had replied. And I was like, yeah, everyone's forgotten about it. So reached out, and then a lot of people jumped in and started getting it because they probably looked into it and Face Fiction. And that's who Face Fiction are. So I'm certain their follower numbers went up a bit. But definitely get on there, check them out. Infinite Wisdom as well, and keep following them for what they are doing. But I'm genuinely excited. I'm really interested to see, do they go and throw in a lot of fan service, or do they just ignore the fans and just create something in the genre? A car running into a campfire and then flying off into space, getting stuck on stairs, and all those sorts of things. We would all laugh, but DayZ is only 2 million copies sold on PC. There's a lot of people out there who love the zombie genre who don't even know that DayZ exists, probably. So I'm excited.
It'd be similar to the type of fan service stuff they're doing with The Last of Us, where only the people who played the game are getting the references, and it's probably only a small percentage of them who are getting the references because it's been so long since we played it. But I think it's a I can't wait, man. I don't usually get stoked for movies because they're usually a disappointment, it seems like, lately, but I think it's got a lot of potential.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done for this week. I don't think I've missed anything. Don't forget to leave a like if you and a comment down below, particularly on some of the comments. I really want to know about more information, because I am still following up on the shared ban list issues. I've told Philip I'll be getting back to him with some questions. Might even see if he's willing to do a spotlight or come on the podcast or something. And but leave your comments down below. It always helps us in the algorithms and all that sort of stuff. The support has been insane. I'm going to be trying to get one of those preview shorts up each week, highlighting what we do each week. What did you guys all think of that? The little one I did, just showcasing the agenda for a brief overview.
I think it was a good advertisement.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. Scalespeeder, thank you once again, my man. You are one of the core people of the DayZ community, mate. But there's not many people out there who love this game who aren't aware of your name and all that you do for us.
Well, thank you for having me on, chaps. It's always a real pleasure to come on and talk DayZ. And you've got some legends here as well with Red Falcon and Archie, who both make excellent content as well, and obviously mods as well. Archie just needs to make some more, definitely. And then
I got my production quality's too high, bro.
And then Red Falcon just needs to put some manuals in with the helicopters.
Yep, I'm working on that.
And lemons, we cannot thank you enough for just being
and
here,
lemons
bro.
as well. Sorry, lemons. Yeah, Zagoria. That's what we want.
Honestly, if it weren't for Lemons being here, we would be totally lost in the console conversation, I think. So
We did have Scalespeeder, but that's why we need Lemons on the show, because we don't always have a console guest. And I sometimes forget because I don't play it on console, but we need to always remember when we're talking about anything and everything to do with DayZ, that love it or hate it, the game is on console, and that helped keep the game alive. And we need to always consider the impact of what we discuss on the console community, don't we, Lemons?
Oh, absolutely. And above all else, I'm just happy to be able to support that and contribute to that. So, 100%.
And don't forget yourself as well, Boydie. It's your passion that often drags this stuff along. You are definitely underestimated in the community as well, because you are a fantastic person, and the sheer passion you have for DayZ always comes through, and it's a pleasure to watch you. Mate, especially now you've reined it in a bit.
It's no, you can thank Cobra for that, guys. Cobra has been a brilliant addition. He's not here this week because he's had a toothy peg pulled out and his face is a bit swollen and stuff. But he in particular helped me realise that we need to be a little bit more serious with how we run this show. We run it kind of casual, kind of thumb in bum, mind in neutral, but we've got something good here, and we need to be doing. We get some amazing support, not just from the people who financially support us, but from everyone who tunes in each week and watches us. So we need to be giving you guys a better quality of service, and we're actually looking at maybe moving from Discord to a more dedicated podcast hosting service. Red's been doing some work on that, looking at options in the background.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, something that might help improve the quality of our show each and every week, because Discord, it's okay, but as you guys saw, even when I was streaming that video then, it struggled to stream a 3-minute video. It was playing perfectly. The quality when it gets uploaded is not going to be, 1 frame per second like you were watching it. But yeah, so we're looking at the options on ways to lift our game. Archie's looking at ways to improve the interface that you guys see with some more alerts and things like that. I had to mute the alerts because they're too loud. So we're constantly looking, and any feedback you want to give us in the comments, we take it on board. We do listen. We've all got big shoulders here where we don't get butt hurt easy. If you've got a criticism of us, tell us. We criticism, done right is the best thing. Don't surround yourself with yes men. Surround yourself with people who will be open and honest with you. That's your best course in life, folks.
Yeah, we're all about improving the viewer experience, so let us have it.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week we have Everyone Knows Dave coming on, the guy behind the Legends community servers. I can't wait to get him on. He does a really good, valuable service for the community out there. We recently shouted him out because he had a bit of we talked the other week about he had a bit of a mess up with not paying a fine on time, and the interest rates on that just went absolutely insane. But yeah. I'm really looking forward to getting him on. And he also has said publicly that he wants to make a few comments about the shared ban list stuff as well. So it's a topic that seems like it's going to be around for a while. I think we opened a bit of a rabbit hole on that one. But, hey, that's why we're here, isn't it, Scalespeeder? We're here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the DayZ community.
Absolutely, and have a bit of fun along the way as well.
Exactly. That is the key to us. It's all about, you can't be too serious, can you?
Absolutely not. It is a game after all.
And you've got to be able to laugh at yourself. And demodding Marks would be a good start. No, we love our Marks. He's a good lad. Turtitry
films.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all same time next week. I'm not going to do a raid today because I'm running short on time. Got to get the young fella ready to take off to work, and got to have a quick chat with the boys after the chat. So we will end it here. Thank you all so much. All the best, everyone, and we will see you all next week. We kind of did the spotlights before all the smoke with individuals, but unfortunately we're running time poor this week. So all the best, everyone, and we will see you next week. Ciao for now.
Bye.
Adios.
Cheers, everybody.
All right, he's muted. I gotta piss. I'll be back.
I hadn't turned your audio off.